just believing in yourself.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
And
Let's
having
do this
confidence.
episode.
And I don't know.
Okay.
Well,
And you also
let's go.
Okay. You describe yourself as alpha.
Yes.
What does that mean?
I'm dominant, so I'm alpha in most situations. Yeah.
Okay. And going to your Twitter, thank you for providing that. You
Yeah, of
call
course.
yourself a fatal seductress. What is that?
I am pretty good at seducing men, and for some, it can be a very fatal attraction. Maybe not like fatal in the literal
fatal.
sense, but I mean fatal to their finances. Sure.
Well, we'll get into that actually, but you said you're pretty good at seducing men.
Yes.
So
Someone hurt this woman.
isn't that just
Someone hurt her
kind of the
bad.
life of a woman?
Very bad.
I mean, I don't think all women like try to seduce men.
Well,
Here
but I
she
mean,
is
like,
now.
essentially you're saying I'm really good at getting men. But like,
Yeah.
isn't that just the default setting for women?
I mean, sure, if that's how you look at it, yeah.
But like, that's like a woman who says she has game and she's able to sleep with a lot of men. It's like, no shit. Any woman can sleep with a
I
lot
mean,
of
there
men.
are femcells. There are femcells out there, so
Actually don't even believe that's a thing.
I mean, there's plenty of people that identify
Well,
with the femcell community. So.
Well, they
I mean, there's
identify.
people who identify as being dogs too. You know?
True, very true. yeah.
So the thing is when he says femcell, so the opposition of incel. So the male incel, the way that it's perceived is they want to have a relationship with women, but they're not capable of doing so.
Yeah.
So they're trying to, but they're just not succeeding. They're striking out over and over and over and over and over. So when you say femcell, this would be the same exact thing applied to women.
Yeah, yeah.
But what Brian's saying is he doesn't think that there are women who, if they decided to go, for instance, and sleep with a whole grouping of various men, they're probably going to be able to do it if they chose to do it. Whereas if men choose to do it, they may not be able to.
I think it's all just like, it depends on standards too. So I mean, some people have high standards.
That would be incel.
Do you have that
Because isn't incel
comic cartoon?
disregardless of their
the
standards,
roses
they
Yeah,
just
and the
can't.
it's like whatever, they just can't do it. They can't close the deal, as it were,
Right.
right?
Again, I mean, I think there's someone for everyone. So I don't know.
But it's kind of like
That's
this.
that's a good question.
Go ahead, pull it up. I'm so lonely. This is, I mean, that's what a femcell is essentially, but I mean, if we look at the actual terminology, so incel, involuntarily celibate, it's not clear to me if a woman just got on a dating app, even if she was remarkably unattractive, if she just made herself available for sex, she could get sex. It's not clear to me if that applies to like a remarkably unattractive man. If he makes himself available for sex, he's going to be able to get it.
I'll give you kind of an easy thought exercise for this. Let's say you take one of the most unattractive men that you've ever met and one of the most unattractive women you've ever met. You put a sign in their hand, and the sign just says, first car that pulls over, I'm sleeping with whoever's in it. Okay? That's the sign. The guy goes out with the sign versus the woman. Who gets stopped for first?
I mean, again, it depends.
Depends on,
A lot of factors.
okay, so, but I gave you the scenario of the ones that are the most attractive, you know, so we have that factor, right? We have the factor of it's going to be an equal amount of men, probably the women passing them, or even more men than women. They're holding the sign, so we know what the scenario is. Inside of the scenario, who's gonna pull off for which sex more?
I guess women.
Yeah, women. So that's the idea behind why Brian's saying being a femcell likely isn't anything other than a standards issue versus I actually, maybe have no standards and still can't close the deal, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's outliers in every situation.
I agree. Look, I agree. I'm just saying that even if we take the outliers, I think that the outlier females would still be able to get some outlier dude to sleep with them, but that might not be the case in the opposite direction.
And then a follow-up question on that, and this might not be the way you move, but if you were inclined, like you made a decision, you woke up, you're in a brand new city, don't know anybody, if you're in a brand new city, but you're like, I want to sleep with somebody tonight, how like certain do you think you could pull it off?
100% certain I could. I
Okay,
mean, that's
so
not really my thing.
Like even good-looking men can't wake up and be like, I'm gonna fuck a new girl today with certainty.
Right.
They don't. Even good-looking guys can't. Like they could maybe have 50-50. Who knows? No guy. Maybe some guys. Very few men. Even good-looking men can't like definitively say, I'm gonna go out and I'm 100% closing tonight. Almost most women, if they were inclined to, could.
Fair enough.
Anyways, you said when it comes to the fatal attraction, fatal seduction, you're fatal for their bank accounts. Have you bankrupted any men?
Not yet, but I do have one that he's teetering on a very bad plane right now. He's not doing very well
Because
financially.
he's financially supporting you.
Not supporting me. I mean, I bartend, so this is like supplemental income.
But he's teetering, and that's part of his financial insecurity is part of the kink or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're like, I don't know, true to the practice, then you're not really gonna want to truly bankrupt someone. And again, I mean, this is all consensual, so like he has the freedom to close his laptop or block me or whatever if he really wants to.
Okay.
You associate a person who would be willing to bankrupt themselves to be mentally ill?
I mean, possibly, but again,
So like, aren't you kind of playing with mentally ill people?
I mean, we go over like, you know, consent and,
A
you know,
mentally ill person consent.
I mean, I'm not here screening them for mental illness. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a
but do you need to
psychologist.
screen a person for mental illness if they want you to bankrupt them? Doesn't that scream not well?
I mean, it's a kink.
Yeah, I get it's a kink, but you can understand that even through a person's perceived kinks, that would maybe be a good sign of mental illness.
It could be, but that's really not my place to judge, you know?
Well, I think it is your place to judge. If you're the one who says, send me the money on behalf of your kink, and this could bankrupt you, who the hell else would be the judger here? Who else could make the judgment but you?
I mean, if they voice that opinion to me, maybe, and if we have like a good relationship, but again, like some of these guys will approach you and then just fuck off for like months, years. Sometimes they'll never come back. So it's like,
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I'm talking about this specific case. Got a guy who's teetering on the edge of bankruptcy.
I mean, I don't force him to send me any
I
money.
understand you're not forcing him to, but what I'm asking you is, if you have somebody who has the perception, at least a perception of mental illness, and you allow them to do thing X on your behalf, knowing that they're mentally ill, how are you not responsible for that?
Well, I mean, then we'll have a conversation about that, but he has never come forth and said, I'm mentally ill. Again, it's a kink, so.
Yeah, but I mean, if you want to teeter on the edge of bankruptcy on purpose because it makes you fucking get off, right? Wouldn't that be a sign to a normal person that that person's not well upstairs?
It could be.
Just not to you?
I mean, again, like, it's really not, like, my responsibility to
She's
be
profiting from it.
monitoring someone's mental health. Again, if they bring it up to me and if they tell me that, you know, this is enough, like, I've had enough, cool. Like, you know what I mean? But I'm not gonna sit there and baby them. Like, this is a kink, a consensual kink. We're both adults. And if he's I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the BDSM community would qualify for mental illness. You know what I mean?
So, there was a guy, let's say he was 55 years old. There was a woman who was 19, and she had a lower IQ. But she was considered an adult and functional member of society. And he was online, and they're both adults, and she was consenting, and he was having sex with her. Would you find that to be an appropriate relationship?
I mean, I think 19 is pretty young, and I really don't like engaging with anyone under 21 in terms of that anyway.
Okay,
So,
just
yeah.
21.
I mean, repeat the question again?
Do you think that if she's kind of under average IQ, but she's still a functional member of society, she's still an adult, she's still consenting, right? She can consent to a car loan, she can consent to a cell phone bill, right? Do you have any issues with this guy taking advantage of her for sex?
I mean, I think it's fucked up. You're 55 years old
Well, why?
trying
But
to.
that's his kink. He likes to take advantage
But that's
of
like-
21-year-old girls and have sex, but he likes it. It gets him off. It's his favorite.
That's
What's the problem?
different.
Well, oh, it is. What's different?
I mean, you just said that she has a lower IQ, so I mean,
I think that this guy who sends you enough money to bankrupt himself has a high IQ?
I mean, he has a good job, so.
So the point is, though, is that she's still a consenting adult. It's not his responsibility to worry about her IQ, right?
I mean, I guess you make a fair point. Again, I don't really care.
But in that case, do you think he should care?
Sure, if he wants to care, then care. But
think that that's a
again,
double standard?
I mean, I've talked to him for 6 months now, more than that, longer than that, and we've had, personal conversations, we've had kink-based conversations, and when he tells me he doesn't have money to send, I don't make him send it. So, and he'll send me like a small amount or something for coffee.
So
when
imagine
he's
this
broke.
going back the other direction of, yeah, he's 50, and she's a little bit low IQ, but she's a consenting adult. It's not for him to worry about whether or not she's under IQ or not, because she can consent, right? She can consent. And so, the thing is he just doesn't really worry about what might happen to her as a position of him sleeping with this woman who is 21 while he's 50, or 19 while he's 50, and who has a lower than average IQ. He just shouldn't worry about it because she can consent. Does that sound reasonable to you?
I mean, it's a different situation. Again, you have a baseline conversation when you accept a submissive into your life. You go over
So he
terms
did
and
that.
conditions.
He did that. He's like, look, I don't give a shit about your IQ. I just want to have sex with you. And she's like, okay.
Jivanic donated $200. Not sure if Redhead's too stupid to understand the depth of her evil, or she doesn't just like it.
Okay.
I encourage viewers to pray for her, but more importantly, her victims, as she's a literal predator.
Yeah, so let's go through go through this.
Yeah.
So they agree to this. They've agreed. They're both consenting.
Just FYI. Sorry, guys. 1 sec. We're letting TTS come through.
John Slater, 1990, donated $200. Hey Brian, just wanted to drop you some support. You get a lot of
John.
hate, but you're a good guy and one of the few who advocate for men.
Oh, thank you,
You
man.
deal with a lot, both on and off the show, so cheers to you.
John Slater, thank you for the TTS, man. Also, Giovanni, thank you for the TTS. Yeah, a lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes that we don't really talk about. But thank you, John Slater. Really appreciate your support. Thank you, man. Go ahead, Andrew.
So anyway, yeah, so they both consented. So that part, they had the conversation. They're both consenting. She is an adult. She is a functional member of society. She's just kind of dumb.
Okay, I mean,
Not his responsibility, right?
Don't dumb people need sex too, though?
okay, fair
No responsibility,
enough,
right?
but-
Mentally ill people need to get some.
I mean, again, I'm a
Would that-
financial
would that give you-
dominatrix, so obviously I have some responsibility in it. But again, I'm not sitting there forcing them. I'm not.
Neither is he in this
I'm not
situation.
approaching them like they approach me.
That's so. Imagine a guy saying this exact same thing.
But he's a
I
man.
didn't force her. I'm not telling her she has to. I'm not doing any of that. She's consensually at 21 with her low IQ sleeping with me. What's the problem here?
He's a man taking advantage, and he's 55. And he has.
He's taking advantage. Are you taking advantage?
I mean, sure, you could look at it like that.
So then I don't see how you can make the moral equivalent and say he's doing something wrong if you would not accept that you yourself also are doing something wrong.
Do you think?
No, I think she accepts that she's doing something wrong.
That's I want to hear from her.
Oh, okay.
Sure, I accept that I'm doing something wrong.
Okay.
But she doesn't care.
Yeah, she doesn't care.
Doesn't.
Well, I can't be quotes if you actually do think that, right? Then it's not wrong. It would just be wrong, right?
Sure.
Okay.
I have a question. Do you continue the relationships if they're not paying?
I mean, like,
You're saying it's not forced. You're not forcing them to pay, but then
No.
do you continue talking to them if they're not paying?
I mean, if they've sent a good amount, like they're my submissive and I've taken them on as that, then sure, I'll talk to them.
All right.
What do you think society would say to a guy who was openly having a relationship like that with a 21-year-old dude, how do you think they would judge him? Just society in general.
They would tar and feather him. I don't know.
I mean, honestly, what do you think they would do?
I think a big factor to consider in the hypothetical situation is the age gap. Because, like, what's the age gap between you and this guy?
He's like 47 and I'm 26.
Okay. That's something to consider.
Still a massive age gap.
Yeah.
But the question I'm just asking, what do you think the perception would be?
I already said it would be bad perception.
A bad perception. Why do you think it would be that way?
Because men have a bad reputation for a good reason.
Because men.
Well, I mean, I literally have not heard yet a man, not once yet, tell me that they have teetered women on the brink of financial ruin and they don't give a shit. I have not heard that one time. But I have heard this story that you're telling me dozens of times on this show.
Yeah, I think you're omitting the fact, though, that, again, it's a kink, and I'm being approached, and this is what I do. Like,
Yeah, but in that case, it would just be a kink.
there's plenty of kinks out there that people would view as taboo and wrong, and people still do them anyway.
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't mean that they're correct. So
Doesn't make
this
it
idea
right.
of saying, well, it doesn't matter because it's a kink, though. It's
What is correct
well, if we
to you,
apply that
though?
to them,
I mean, I think correct is a very subjective word.
do you
Like,
think that morality itself is subjective?
I mean, yeah.
Well, then if morality itself is subjective, then why would you ever get mad about what anybody ever does at any time, at any place, anywhere?
Sure.
Like a serial killer. What's wrong with that?
Doesn't talk deeply about
Subjective.
this.
I mean, you're reaching right now, but
Is it subjective or objective?
I mean, a serial killer, like,
I mean, yeah,
they're-
serial killers. It's subjective or objective? If it's all subjective and it's all just moral relativism, then you could never make a judgment, a value judgment on a serial killer being bad, because that's just relative, right?
sure.
So then, yeah, I don't really know this idea of it's subjective. It doesn't mean much to me. That just means you're saying that there is no standard for morality at all, when clearly you don't think that.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, you wouldn't say, you'd say it's okay to be a serial killer, right?
I mean, I think we all know the answer to that. It's not okay to be a serial killer.
Not. I think it's just subjective.
Because it's morally wrong. Like, and
So then-
these are my morals, so
So, but
everyone has different values.
So if it's just your morals versus their morals, subjective, then from his standard, the serial killer, they're not doing anything wrong, right?
Well, he's a serial killer. Obviously, he doesn't think he's doing anything wrong. He's doing it.
So you have no standard from which to say he's doing anything immoral, right?
I'm not.
-_200 donated $200. Yellow top kinda looks like a Scargian. Look it up.
Like a what? I don't know what that is. Tell me more.
Okay, all right. I'm not sure what that is. Is that like a Star Wars thing or something? I don't know.
I'd love to respond if I knew.
I don't know. A couple other clarifying things here, but I do want to get everybody's relationship status. You do describe yourself as evil on your link tree.
No, that can't be true. Subjective.
You also referred yourself as Empress Lucia, and Goddess Lucia. So, can you explain the Empress and the Goddess part?
I mean, it's a title,
Also
an
princess.
honorific.
Also
Yeah,
princess,
princess.
femdom princess.
Yes. It's just an honorific that everyone in the community uses. They pick which one they like. I started out as goddess. I decided I wanted to change it up, make it empress. I liked the sound of it, and that's about it.
But do you consider yourself like a goddess, just generally speaking?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. And then also on your Twitter, it says, I heart exploiting your desires and reveling in your tears.
Yes.
It's just like an essay on how to write I'm an awful human being. It's just like,
Sure, if that's
there's
what you
like
wanna think.
everything that's
And
stated
it's
here.
a kink. Can
got me.
Question, do you enjoy like the money aspect of it, or do you genuinely enjoy what you do?
I enjoy the money aspect of it, and I think it's funny. Like, I think it's fun. I have a great time doing it. I mean, all my friends get a good laugh out of it. I get a good laugh out of it, and there's days where I'm having a bad day, and my sub just wants to punch himself in the balls.
When you
And you
say,
enjoy watching that though?
It's funny, yeah.
when you say you get a laugh out of it, what do you mean?
Like when they
you
do-
laugh at them?
When they do humiliation stuff, yeah, it's funny. And they encourage me to laugh at them. They love my laugh.
Okay. Well, we can come back to some of that stuff.
Yeah, let's get to the girls. I don't want to take up all this time.
What's your relationship status?
My relationship status is single. I've been single for a little over a month. And my longest relationship, I've had a few that were like right around a year.
Okay. And you said you've been single for about a month.
Yes,
Who ended it?
I did.
Why?
He yelled at me in a store. We had been dating for a few months, and that was like I think there was a couple red flags actually that I like was kind of letting go. And then at that point, I was like, I don't deserve this kind of treatment. So I was just like, I think we should go our separate ways.
And how long have you guys been together?
Just like 3.5 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he yelled at you in the store.
Yeah.
What happened?
So we were going on a camping trip to Grand Teton National Park. We were running a half marathon, so we were like splitting the cost of everything. You know, like, oh, I'll buy this gas, you buy that gas. Like, let's split the groceries. And he had lost his job, and then he was like tight on money. But I'm also tight on money as a business owner, and so like money I think was a stressor. And then he had owed me money from like whatever the last transaction was, and so then he was like, oh, I just want to make sure that you're gonna spend exactly like $12, like 12 including tax, not excluding tax. And was like penny pinching me. And then it annoyed me because I was just like, well, if we've been on this whole trip and like not paying attention to cents and dollars, like why are you doing this? I was like, if money is that big of an issue, we should have just bought our own separate things. And then we like got to the checkout line, and he was like doing 2 orders, so I was just confused. I was like, wait, why are you doing 2 different orders? And then he was just like, you are so unhealthy. I can't even believe how unhealthy you are. And like there was this little 7-year-old behind us, and I was like, this is really embarrassing. You don't even know me well enough to yell at me. And so
Unhealthy?
yeah, that's what he yelled.
The fuck does that mean, unhealthy?
I don't know, but I took it as a sign that he was unhealthy because if he's yelling at me like
Sounds like
at the
some
store
fucking
that's-
liberal shit.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So then, yeah, it was like embarrassing and
nervous
awkward, and
laugh.
I was just like, I just got out of a relationship with, not just, but my last relationship. It was like very reminiscent of what I was in when I was 25, and so then I was like, oh, I'm just thank you. So, yeah.
Right, that's it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
What about you?
Right now I'm single, like for 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah. And my longest relationship was 1.5 years, I guess.
Okay. Have you met any guys here in Santa Barbara? Any?
Not yet, because I arrived 2 days ago and
Still new.
yeah.
And you're only here for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.